If you are tired of seeing criminals get away with murder, tired of hearing excuses for the wicked, then it's time to take action. Hit that subscription button now and stay in the loop with the Jamaica Young Police channel. We are not here to sugarcoat. We are here to expose the truth, bring justice, and make sure the real heroes get the recognition they deserve. Don't wait for the change. Be the change. Subscribe, like, and let's make some noise and hold those criminals accountable. Justice in action. Speak up. Crime must fall. And remember that we have a go inside the description box and you'll see various links to various things for the Jamaica Young Police channel. JamaicaYoungPoliceChannel.com, where you see articles and stuff like that. Those who like to read, and and we continue to give you guys exceptional material over here. So, moving on. Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police channel. To our loyal viewers, subscribers, and Patreon members. At the channel, we are a group of law-abiding citizens who believe in the rule of law and respect the rights of every citizen, but not the ones who do not subscribe to such behavior. We do believe in and support preemptive strikes because they save lives. This is a logical conclusion because preemptive strikes save lives and prevent the further loss of lives. We are all about saving lives at this channel. We at the channel aid criminals with a passion and do not want them over here. We do not want your views, your subscriptions, your likes, or your comments. Please go elsewhere where the red carpet is waiting for you. Over here, we want you to go to prison or the departure lounge at Madden. Moving on to today's video. Yeah, so for months now, I've been bombarded by members of the Patreon squad. Some members asking me to do something about Burkina Faso, about this new leader. And the reason why I haven't do a video about it, because I don't decide to put a crown on a man because he's been made popular by social media. You have to understand how propaganda works. We're not praising or condemning him, you understand? And we're just watching. But the truth, they don't teach you, the French never left Africa. They just change tactics. You have to understand that white people in the world, white people do not love black people, They just exploit us, use us, discard us, and try to erase even our own history. Even right here in America. Most of the invention of the world enjoying, it's black people, but they won't teach you that. Remember, so back in the days, if white people are all superior being, why would you, if you are all this superior being, why would you try to stop even just, black people from reading, even the Bible? That means that you're not superior. So that's one of the reasons why they do all of these things. And when you're talking about the original, when you're talking about terrorism and the original terrorists, if you look at history, and they don't like to hear the truth, it's white people. They are the original terrorists. They're the one that wrote the terrorism manual. So everything that you see going on with terrorism, cut off head, fear, and all of these things, comes from them. Those of you who are cognizant and have knowledge of history would know that when the white men came to Africa, we didn't have any jail, we didn't have any prison or anything like that. Our ancestors used to live in huts, no doors, and people know that you don't violate, you don't go inside someone's huts without invitation. Because that's a man's personal space. Our ancestors never used to wear clothes in Africa because the men them know how to control themselves. Imagine a man, you see him in body and you see a woman pum pum live, and nobody not see nobody, and them soldiers stand up and ready. It's a white man cause all of them thing there, because him all if him mother been, all if him mother been back where, he might take it from her, because I just saw him stay, and him barbaric. But them spin it around throughout history and make us the barbarians, in which we haven't committed a genocide or anything like that against any race on this earth. What our ancestors have done is build Europe. So our ancestors from North Africa that civilized the Europeans. As you heard, I've done a video about Mark Golding having a shower. That is normal European thing. If you know about the Black Plague, that was one of the things that caused it in Europe. Same thing in England. But they pretend as if they're superior to us. And then there's a guy that named Charles Darwin, one of the biggest propagandists against black people, because they want to subjugate us. If you know you're superior, you don't have to put down somebody else. You lift them up. But that's what they have done. But look, we have never stopped fighting. We are one of the most resilient people on this planet. We should not be here now, but we are here. You understand? We should not be here, but we are still here. So we give God thanks. Because without God, we are nothing. And when I stop fight, stop fighting for. Yeah, so the truth, they don't teach you. The French never left Africa, they just change tactics. And you heard, we're going to play a video for you to listen to Ibrahim Traoré. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But when you look at Burkina Faso today, with Captain Ibrahim Traoré standing in military uniform declaring independence from France and warning the West to stay out, many cheer. Yeah, many cheer worldwide. And understandably so. But to understand the weight of what he's saying and why it resonates so deeply with so many Africans, you must understand the dark and bloody history between France and Burkina Faso and the colonial trauma still bleeding across the continent. So let's go back to the beginning. The colonial chains. How France shackled Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, once called Upper Volta, was forcefully annexed by the French colonial empire in 1896. How do we try to go to China and take over Chinese land, because there's nothing there. So it's we, black people, them always are right on our back as parasites. And then they pretend as if we are subjugated and they are superior to us. When our ancestors were in Europe for over 700 years, they never tried to colonize them or anything. The only thing they did was civilize them. So during the notorious scramble for Africa, when European powers divided and carved up African lands like stolen meat at a feast, for decades the French used Upper Volta not as a nation but as a labor reservoir. Its people were enslaved under colonial policies, forced to work on plantations, in railroads and in mines, not for their benefits but for the profit of Paris. The wealth ripped from Burkina Faso didn't build Gondo, it paved the streets of France. The colonial administration cared nothing for African dignity, sovereignty or progress. Their mission was extraction and domination, and they disguised it under the rotten mask of so-called civilizing mission. Africans were treated like second-class humans in their own homeland. Their language replaced by French, their culture ridiculed, their traditional leadership dismantled, their land stolen, their bodies exploited. This wasn't development. It was spiritual and economic terrorism. Let me repeat myself. This wasn't development. It was spiritual and economic terrorism. Just as saying these things, you will mark for death by them. Remember, Marcus Garvey did not have an army or have any weapon, but yet they did everything they can to destroy him. They even sent him to prison. Is a blind man testify against Marcus Garvey and send him to prison and say him see. If you know of any blind person who can see, the only time blind people can see are when them say them dream see. that I only time a blind person can see in a dream. So a nation born from resistance. Even after so-called independence in 1960, Burkina Faso never truly broke free. France had created an elite political class, loyal not to their people but to Paris. These leaders kept the franc CFA currency system, which is still controlled by French treasury, accepted foreign military bases, and signed secretive defense agreements that gave France backdoor access to the country's wealth and military decisions. So at no time France was never the friend of the people them of Burkina Faso. So that's why chase them out. You don't want them. You don't even want them embassy in your country. Keep them out. So while France claimed they left, they never truly did. They just swapped the whip for contracts and the gun for diplomacy. That's not independency. That's neo-colonialism. So the rise and fall of Thomas Sankara, Africa's last honest revolutionary. In 1983, hope returned with the rise of Captain Thomas Sankara, a bold, brilliant and fearless leader who changed the nation's name from the Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, meaning land of upright people. As I said and I say all the time, black people are the most honest people, and when they come on to ethics, honesty, decency and morality, when they come on to anything close to God, are black people. Everything that is evil, just go right, are white people that. Are white people tell black people and other people, say, open for a body hole and take it like a girl. Them think they are not even Satan. In the Bible, there's not no mentions of Satan support even such behavior. So when this one named Burkina Faso, meaning land of upright people, good thing that. So Sankara rejected IMF loans, kicked out French influences, promoted women's rights, local agriculture and self-reliance. He was a visionary, a threat to global power structure. So what happened? He was assassinated in 1987, a coup that many believe was orchestrated by French backing, led by Blaise Compaoré, his former comrade turned traitor. That's why I'm telling you, in a life now, you can't trust people. So this is somebody who trust, man who was his best friend. Once again, France got its puppet back in power for 27 long years. Compaoré looted the country and served foreign interests, while the people remained poor, unemployed, and broken. So the first time after independence now, Burkina Faso have a leader. Yes, Thomas Sankara. Even this them hide from people in the history now, but you have to read all of these things. You have to read. Just like when them killed Patrice Lumumba in the Congo. Some wicked people are dealing, white people, whether or not you want to believe it. So that's why I would tell dummy them at Jamaica and them thing there. So make this British man go back to England. Him not serve our interest, but you can't tell the low IQ Jamaican people them that call them licky. It's just like how this guy when he Blaise Compaoré and the licky African them when support him, because through them I get likes, pickings, them I get crumbs. That's all them not care about them fellow Africans. So the whole of them, just like how the PMP, when them in a power, them just rob, loot the coffers, and over a certain amount of people enjoy the government. While right now, you have poor people that get a house whenever I'm in Jamaica, and them still eat the man who born in Jamaica. And them will tell you how him corrupt. But there is no evidence to show it. But I see him black people in Jamaica and I do the same thing to a black man. In which that all I'm policy I support Andrew Wallace, because as for me, I don't support giving people free house and them things, because that a form of socialism and make them lazy. But a theme policy and it a work, and the most important thing and the gunman them are done him give house, him give poor people. But I don't support it because I believe say anything you want, you have to lift yourself and by the bootstrap and straighten up. When you do that now, you create a sense of dependency upon the state. But I is think that now. So enter Ibrahim Traoré, saver or just another soldier. Fast forward to 2022. Ibrahim Traoré removed the French-backed leadership, promised a new era of sovereignty, and sent French troops packing. Now the people are watching. They are hopeful, but also cautious. They have been here before. They know the playbook. A soldier seizes power, make bold promises, denounces the West, then either turn dictator or become another pawn in a new power game, this time with Russia or China. The real question, will Traore be Sankara or just a better dressed Compaoré? If Traore wants to be different, he must not only talk revolution, but live it. That means holding free and fair election, building independent institutions, ending foreign exploitation, whether French, Chinese or Russian, prioritizing the education, health and security of the people, and finally ensure that Burkina Faso will stay in Burkina Faso hands. True liberations means end of the puppet string from all foreign powers. Burkina Faso's history is one of struggle, betrayal and hope. France has drained it, corrupted it and controlled it for over a century, directly and indirectly. So I'm telling you before and I say again, so you hear it, and them are real corrupt, you know. But revolutions don't succeed because of speeches. They succeed when the people are empowered, not just inspired. They succeed when leaders put down the gun and pick up the ballot. The true test of Traore legacy will not be how loud he shouts against France or how many military parades he commands. It will be whether he lets the people choose their destiny. Let him take off the camouflage, put on a suit and face the people will. Until then, Africa must stay vigilant because we have been fooled before and we won't be fooled again. So yeah, I've said it, you know, and, yeah. So if you want to be a real leader, just take off the uniform and the gun and just do him off the and put himself out there and make the people them elect him. Because once you're popular, you know, we know how the propaganda work. Because we know the West don't like black people, and the West is all about exploitation, terrorism, and all of these things. They are not there for black people. So who is Ibrahim Traoré? Captain Ibrahim Traoré became the interim president of Burkina Faso in September 2022 after leading a military coup that ousted Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba. He was just 34 years old at the time, making him the world's youngest leader. So it was from one dictator to the other. He cited rising insecurity, especially from Islamist insurgents and government inefficiencies as reasons for the coup. Traore, like several other West African leaders who have taken power through coups in recent years, Mali, Assimi, Gauthier, Guinea, Mameda, Dambaya, Niger, Abdoubar Mande, Shan, has positioned himself as part of a new anti-imperialist pan-African wave. His Traore, Africa anti-colonial savior, he talks the talk. He has openly criticized France and its role in exploiting Francophone Africa's resources while pretending to offer security and development. He distanced Burkina Faso from Western military influence, especially France, and learn more about the evil of the white people. Is well rounded in that. So now he leads more towards Russia, particularly the Wagner group, now the African Corps. That's it. So you can't leave from one white people and go on to the other. What you have to do is start building your own things, because remember, you know, Russia is a terrorist state, you know. Patrice Lumumba was close to Russia, and when France and the CIA and all of them decide to kill him, Russia never help him. Even him ask Russia for help. So you have to know the history and know say they are all white people, they only speak different language, but all of them have the same mind, exploitation. And them say us, we are superior to them in every way, physically, mentally, and all of these things. The only thing with them now, they are always thinking as terrorists, or to terrorize black people, or terrorize other people. Because that's how them gain dominance. I remember terrorism is something that drive fear in a people. So Traore has emphasized sovereignty, African unity and resource control, which resonate deeply with post-colonial frustrations across the continent. So he did have a man in Libya named Gaddafi. At one point in time, he wanted Africa to unite for just be one Africa. That was something that is always shelf. Because you know the Arabs them, they are the ones who are in Africa too. They are imposters, you know. They are not Africans, you know. And they don't see themselves as black people because they are not. They are black people, you know, but they don't see themselves as them want to align themselves to them white. Because show them ear and them complexion. But I have any idea. Remember, say the world, even when me go on the world, are going to be brown. It's not going to be white. Because you understand what I'm saying? Because dominant, recessive can't get rid of dominant. Even although in Argentina, where them kill off our black people, our brothers and sisters in Argentina, black people, yeah. Because if we're going there, you know, if nobody not like we, you know, we have been the most hated people because of our complexion. And guess what? I have an idea, the same people that hate we, they will never be the fastest man or woman in our world. Anything black people touch, goal. That goes to show us that we are chosen people. Black people are only people who forgive people for do them wrongs. Evil. There's no other race on earth to do that. Look what they have done to black people in America and around the world. White people. If you ever go back all in World War I and II, what the Germans did to our ancestors, what even the British did, and read some things, trust me, if you talk about hatred, those things, you know, make you boil, make your blood boil. If you know people can wicked, so some things where them do to black people, they not treat you like human being when they are not. Some wicked people, you know. So that's why every time we say black people of Jamaica run behind a big belly white man, you marvel because I say them people are just them are dummy. Them don't know these people. Especially a man like this man, Mark Gomebia Golden, who has been preaching nothing but violence towards us as a people, and him started. So I see me now, I could never ever support no white man when I'm born in Jamaica. You understand what I'm saying? So you have no roots. You don't want a foreigner come lead my country. You go back to England. England are mother of racism and evil in this world. Most people don't know that. They are the one that go around the world, conquer and kill people, other race of people. But some of the people, them when them conquer, them still want to be a part of them. And them change your language, rob your identity, take thief in name. But we still exist. We should not be here, but we still survive. So we see people like all Mota Baruch and all of these people supporting Mark Gomebia Golden. You know, say the war for the mind is still on. You understand? So Traore, he distanced Burkina Faso from Western military influence. His speeches reflect Pan-African ideology inspired by leaders like Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary hero who was assassinated in 1987, allegedly with Western backing. But let's be honest, a few hard questions remain. One, military role equal long-term stability? Why? Wow. While coups may temporarily break cycles of corruption, military regimes really lead to sustained democratic development or prosperity. Even Sankara, brilliant as he was, ruled by decree. So it wasn't, and people that vote for them, you understand? So is Russia really an anti-colonial force? Leaning towards Russia or China is not inherently liberating. They too are seeking resources, influence, and military bases. Swapping one external power for another does not always break the cycle of exploitation. And that's how I always say, you can't swap black dog for monkey. Oh, will he build institution? Rhetoric against colonizers is important, but liberation must also mean education, reform, and agricultural independence, economic development, and clean governance. This requires more than fiery speech, it demands serious policy making. Traore rise reflects a deeper truth. Africans are tired of puppet leaders, foreign meddling, and being reduced to raw material suppliers. The younger generation is fed up with the illusion of independence, while their nation are economically chained to Paris, London, or Washington. Traore might not be the savior, but he represents longing for sovereignty that is echoing loudly across the continent, from the streets of Ogowa to the slums of Nairobi to the classroom of Accra. Is he the one who will save Africa? Maybe not, but he embodies a cry, a deep historical roar that Africa is no longer for sale, not to France, America, China, or Russia. Whether he becomes a true liberator or just another authoritarian in revolutionary clothing depends on what he builds. Yeah, so it depends on who he empowers, whether he remains accountable to the people, not just the uniform. So, is he the real deal or just another mirage in military fatigue? So let's cut through the smoke and mirror, shall we? Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré is being hailed across social media as the next Thomas Sankara, a young revolutionary lion roaring against Western imperialism. Videos of him criticizing France, throwing shade at the West and walking among his people in military gear have gone viral. The internet loves him. Africans from Lagos to London are clapping and cheering, calling him the savior who will free the continent from centuries of exploitation. Remember, I said that one man named Muammar Gaddafi, but them same one kill him. More people kill him. If you not corrupt, nobody can corrupt you. Same people, them Arabs, them same one kill him. And he was the only one that treat black people good. The Arabs, them, they're just they're even eviler to black people than the whites. That's the what going on right now in Libya. Remember, they're the one who have sell our black people them as slaves. These are people who are imposters in our continent. The Arabs, them, they are our biggest enemy of black people in Africa. Egypt, people that live in Egypt, they are not Egyptians. They are Arabs. Africa is supposed to be black people, but these people, they want to behave like something superior to us. But you'll never see none of them in the Olympics. None of these people, the Arabs, them, has been fastest man or woman in the world. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. So let's go through the smokes and mirror, shall we? Burkina Faso Ibrahim Traoré, he say all over upon the internet. Every day you see him, the internet love him. You understand? But let's pause the celebration and ask a serious question. Is this man truly who he say he is, or are we falling for another well-scripted performance? History is screaming, but are we listening? Look at Africa's past. When have we ever had true friends? The West never. The East, not a chance. Whether it's the smiling faces from Europe, the double-speaking diplomats from America, and the cold calculators from China, none of them have ever cared about black people unless there was gold, oil, or lithium under their feet. So when Ibrahim Traoré cozies up to Russia and China, the red flags start waving like carnival banners. Don't let the anti-French speeches fool you. Swapping white explorers for yellow ones isn't progress. It's just colonialism in a different accent. Russian people doesn't love us. China doesn't love us. They love our land, our minerals, and our geopolitical position. Full stop. Don't fool yourself. You're going to listen to him speech, and him speech riveting. Everything what I'm saying is factual. Now here's the $1 million question. If Traore is so beloved by his people, is he really the beacon of hope? The people's champion? Then why not take off the military fatigues? Stand like a civilian and face the people in real election? Why not let the ballot box speak instead of the barrel of a gun? Well, maybe you must say, boy, I do like China, but China dictator now wear uniform. They have a system, so you can do that too. If the people of Burkina Faso truly love him, and they must, or they just might, you would win and down by ruling by force and choosing yourself as president is a liberation. It's dictatorship with a good PR. Don't be fooled by optics. Yes, he speaks with passion. Yes, he walks among his people. Yes, his speeches are fire. But remember, charisma doesn't build nations. Vision does. Institution do. Accountability does. And right now, we haven't seen that part yet. Let's keep our eyes wide open. We all want Africa to rise. We want a new dawn where the continent stand tall, proud and free from leeches, parasites, western or eastern. And if Ibrahim Traoré, the man to lead that charge, we will all cheer. But real leaders don't choose themselves. They earn the right to lead through the people will. Not a coup. So until Captain Traoré swaps the camouflage for a campaign, until he opens the door for elections instead of closing it with military boots, let's hold our applause, because Africa doesn't need another strong man with slogans. Africa needs a builder, a liberator, and a servant of the people. So I want you to listen now to Captain Ibrahim Traoré giving a speech about the West. Everything that he's saying about it, truth. I know the truth or turn of the guilty. So you watch, you listen, and you decide. Ibrahim Traoré in his own words.
CNN, BBC, France 24, I'm watching you all. I'm recording every lie. I'm archiving every distortion. I am Ibrahim Traoré, and today I'm pulling off your masks. Yes, you heard correctly. I, whom you call a young military junta leader, whom you brand as a dangerous radical, whom you serve up as an anti-Western dictator, am now telling you the truth. And this time you cannot turn off your microphones. This time you cannot turn away your cameras. This time your editors cannot cut this speech, because the world you monopolize no longer exists. Because millions will hear these words now, without passing through your filters, without being subjected to your distortions, without being muddied by your lies. I am 34 years old. Every day of my life, I grew up with your lies. As a child, I would watch Africa on television. Always the same images. Children with flies, dry lands, weapons, death. This is Africa, they told us. This is what Africa is. And we believed it. We were ashamed of ourselves. We were ashamed of our own lands, of our own people. But then I grew up. I read, I researched, I questioned, and I understood that the Africa you showed us wasn't real. The story you told us was a lie. The fate you imposed on us was a script you had written. For years, how have you portrayed Africa? How have you shown it? How have you sold it to your viewers? As if we were creatures who had no share of humanity, as if we were savages left outside of civilization, as if we were wretches waiting for you to save us. Every day, every hour, every minute, the same story plays on your screens. Hunger, war, disease, corruption, terror, chaos. These are the words that come to mind when Africa is mentioned. In your Africa dictionary, there are no other words. No hope, no success, no development, no resistance, no honor, no pride, no victory. So I ask you, New York Times, Washington Post, Guardian, Le Monde, Have you ever made Africa's successes your headlines? How many times have you written about Rwanda's technology miracle? How many times have you shown Ethiopia's reforestation project? How many times have you praised Botswana's democratic success? How many times have you described Kenya's entrepreneurial ecosystem? No, because these don't fit your scenario. Your Africa cannot be successful. It cannot, because then how will you legitimize your exploitation? If it's not in need of help, how will you intervene? If it's not backward, how will you look down on it? Have you ever asked yourselves, has any editor sitting at their desk, any news director in a meeting, any columnist at their keyboard ever thought, why are the people of the world's richest lands poor? Here are the numbers for you, real numbers. Africa owns 70% of the world's cobalt reserves. Your cell phone, your computer, your electric car won't work without cobalt. This cobalt comes from Congo, but Congolese can't afford cell phones. Africa owns 90% of the world's platinum reserves. Catalytic converters, electronic devices, medical implants, they all need platinum. This platinum comes from South Africa, but South Africans are crushed by unemployment. Africa provides 30% of the world's gold production. Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Tanzania. Gold flows like rivers from our lands, but our people swim in poverty. Africa supplies 65% of the world's diamond production. Botswana, Angola, Congo, Sierra Leone, billions of dollars worth of diamonds are extracted, but our miners live on $1 a day. Africa owns 35% of the world's uranium reserves. Niger, Namibia, South Africa. Nuclear plants run on our uranium. Paris lights burn with our uranium, but our villages have no electricity. And you still ask, why is Africa poor? No, the right question is, how was Africa kept poor while being so rich? Here's your answer. Colonialism didn't end. It changed shape. You used to come and occupy our lands. Now you come and establish companies. You used to take by force. Now you make agreements. You used to rule with the whip. Now you rule with credit. Let me give you concrete examples. With numbers, names, dates, but you'll never write about these. Glencore, Swiss-based mining giant, extracting cobalt in Congo. 2022 revenue, $256 billion, a tax paid to Congo, $500 million, that's 0.2%. Is this justice? Rio Tinto, British-Australian mining giant, extracting bauxite in Guinea, 20 million tons annually. What's left for Guinea? Environmental pollution and cancer. Total, now Total Energies, French oil giant, extracting oil in Angola, Nigeria, Congo. 2022, profit, $36 billion investment in Africa, dirty pipelines, Anglo-American, founded in South Africa but now in London. Diamonds, platinum, iron, taking everything. What it left in South Africa? 6 million unemployed miners. And these are just the tip of the iceberg. What about the invisible, the secret deals, the offshore accounts, the transfer pricing tricks? Every year, $88 billion in illegal money flows out of Africa. Who writes about this? Every year, $45 billion in aid comes to Africa. Everyone writes about this, but no one says Africa is not the continent receiving aid, it's the continent giving aid. While you zoom your cameras on swollen bellies, there is a huge system working silently in the background. Every day, tons of gold, diamonds, cobalt, uranium, oil leave our land. But how? Here is the system. Step 1, create corruption, bribe our leaders, open offshore accounts, promise them a life of luxury, send their children to your schools. Step 2, make deals, get 50-year, 99-year concessions, ask for tax exemptions, be exempt from environmental rules, ignore labor rights. Step 3, control the infrastructure, take over ports, airports, railways, but only from the mine to the harbor. Don't build roads to the villages, don't bring electricity to schools. Step 4, provide security. Set up private security companies. Arm them. Declare protesting. Step 5, silence the media. Buy local journalists. Suppress opposing voices. Serve internal unrest news to international media. And this is how the system works. It's been working like this for 100 years, and you don't see this system. You don't want to see it, because you're part of the system too. Who are the biggest advertisers of New York Times, CNN, BBC, oil companies, mining companies, arms companies, pharmaceutical cartels, the companies that exploit Africa? You live on their money, you defend their interests, and what I'm about to tell you might cost me my life, but it's no longer time to be silent. France's system in Africa is the CFA franc. 14 African countries still use French colonial currency. 50% of these countries' central bank reserves sit in the French treasury. France applies negative interest to this money, so we pay France to use our own money. Through this system, France transfers $500 billion worth of resources from Africa every year. Does anyone write about this? No. But when France gives Africa 10 billion euros in aid, it makes headlines. Britain's system is more sophisticated. London is the world's money laundering center. City of London, offshore paradise. Every penny stolen from Africa passes through London. Jersey, Guernsey, Cayman Islands, Virgin Islands, all under British control. Africa's wealth hides there. America's system is AFRICOM, Africa Command, 46 military bases on the continent. Official purpose, security. Real purpose, resource control. Drones in our airspace every day, listening devices everywhere. They say fighting terrorism, but it's not terrorists. It's people's leaders who are targeted. China is the new player, says win-win, builds infrastructure, gives credit, but in exchange for what? 99-year port concessions, mining rights, agricultural lands, debt-trap diplomacy, ask Sri Lanka, ask Zambia, and you write about none of this. Why? Because you're not free press. You're corporate press. Your bosses are billionaires. Jeff Bezos bought Washington Post. Why? For love of journalism? Rupert Murdoch's media empire, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, The Sun, The Times, all from the same hand, all giving the same message. West is good, others are bad. Carlos Slim is the largest shareholder of New York Times, Mexican billionaire. Where's his wealth from? Monopolized telecommunications, got rich off Latin America's back, now controls America's most respected newspaper, and you claim to do independent journalism? Who are your editors? Which schools did they graduate from? Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge? Always the same elite schools, always the same worldview, always the same prejudices. How are your reporters selected? How many languages does your Africa correspondent speak? French, English, that's all. Swahili, Hausa, Yoruba, Amharic, they don't know. They can't talk to the people. Your sources are always the same. Western diplomats, NGOs, experts, and then you come and lecture us.
Join me as I dive into the question of whether Ibrahim Traoré can actually free Africa from IMF control, and I'll share my thoughts on the challenges he faces. Ibrahim Traoré, the young and ambitious leader of Burkina Faso, has been making waves in African politics. His rise to power was swift and decisive, as he took control in a military coup. What makes his leadership significant is his vision for a self-sufficient Africa, where nations aren't beholden to external forces. This vision resonates deeply with many Africans who are tired of decades of economic dependency. Africa's relationship with the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has long been a contentious issue. On the surface, the IMF provides financial assistance to countries in need, but this help comes with strings attached. African nations often find themselves forced to implement austerity measures, cut vital subsidies, and prioritize debt repayment over essential public services. This creates a cycle of dependency that's hard to break. The IMF's influence can stifle economic growth by imposing policies that favor foreign investors over local businesses. Many argue that the IMF's approach is one-size-fits-all, ignoring the unique cultural, social, and economic contexts of African countries. The results are often devastating: reduced spending on healthcare and education, increased poverty, and decreased economic competitiveness. Furthermore, the IMF's conditions frequently lead to privatization of key sectors, making essential services unaffordable for ordinary citizens. The harsh reality is that African nations have limited room to maneuver within the IMF's framework. They must comply with the IMF's demands to access vital funds, but these conditions can undermine national sovereignty. The fear is that African countries are merely trading one form of dependency for another, with little hope of achieving sustainable economic growth. Ibrahim Traoré's vision for Africa is one of financial liberation. He aims to reduce reliance on external aid and promote self-sufficiency. By encouraging local production, supporting small businesses, and investing in infrastructure, Traoré hopes to create a more robust and resilient economy. His policies could have a profound impact on Africa's economic trajectory, allowing nations to chart their own course without IMF interference. Traoré's stance on the IMF is clear: he wants Burkina Faso to regain control over its economic destiny. A pivotal moment came when he publicly criticized the IMF's role in Africa's economic affairs. He argued that the IMF's approach has kept Africa in a state of perpetual dependency, stifling innovation and entrepreneurship. This bold statement resonated with many Africans who feel that their leaders have been too afraid to challenge the IMF's authority. The significance of Traoré's statement cannot be overstated. By speaking out against the IMF, he has ignited a conversation about Africa's economic future. His courage in challenging the status quo could inspire other African leaders to re-examine their relationships with external financial institutions. If Traoré succeeds in breaking free from IMF control, it could set a powerful precedent for the rest of the continent. Traore's commitment to change is evident in his government's policies. His administration has begun to implement measures aimed at reducing dependence on external aid. By taking a firm stance against IMF control, Traore is betting that Africa can achieve true economic independence. As Ibrahim Traoré continues to push for change, it's clear that his leadership could reshape Africa's relationship with the IMF. If successful, his approach could have far-reaching implications for African nations, enabling them to determine their own economic destinies. The potential for a more prosperous and self-sufficient Africa is tantalizing. What do you think about Ibrahim Traoré's chances of freeing Africa from IMF control? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more insights on African economics, be sure to watch my next video.
Yeah, so Ibrahim Traoré might sound like the second coming of Thomas Sankara, but sound bites and slogans don't free nations. Action do. Africa must wake up before it's too late. Yes, his speeches are fiery. Yes, he kicked out the French military. Yes, he walks through the crowd like a man of the people. But let's be real. That's exactly what they want you to see. We have seen too many so-called liberators turn into wolves in fatigues. We have watched Africa go from European chains to Chinese loans, from French puppets to Russian shadows. And all the while, the people remain hungry, unemployed, voiceless and tired. If he truly wants to break the curse that France placed on Burkina Faso, then he must do something that takes real courage, not just kick out the colonizers, but empower the people. Take off the uniform, take off the damn uniform. Run for office. Face the people in real election. Because only people can choose their liberators, not the other way around. Until then, we must remain cautious, because history is clear. Africa doesn't need another man who chooses himself. Africa needs leaders chosen by the people. Leaders who serve, not rule. And to every African watching this unfold, don't be hypnotized by uniform, promises or applause. Be guided by truth. Be driven by history. And never, ever stop talking and stop asking, is this freedom or just another new master in a different color? Because the price of liberation is not nice. It is vigilance. It is sacrifice. And above all, it is choice. So those of you who are celebrating Ibrahim Traoré as the next coming of Thomas Sankara, celebrate. Because leaders don't choose themselves. People do. Have yourself a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police Channel out.